Hey guys, it's me, Darcy, joined as always by Kris.
Yes, indeed it is.
And welcome to the Unnamed podcast, where we sit here in this underground dwelling, lower floor dwelling, and talk rubbish. And my chair's not locked in. God damn it.
Not in your professional position?
No, professional.
Okay.
Just not locked in, so I can lean back. And
Okay.
I shouldn't be doing that because it's really loud.
Oh, that's fair.
And well, it's almost Christmas.
It is.
When I say it's almost Christmas, I mean like when you see this, it'll be
2 days.
yes.
Yeah.
And when we're filming it, it's like 5 days.
Yeah, something like
Yeah, something like that. We have it's 4 days. It's
that. It is indeed 4 days, yeah.
we have a calendar in front of us.
So we do, yeah.
We're not smart.
Well, the calendar's technically not in front of us. The date is. The calendar's not.
This guy. And yeah, well, you know, I've been thinking, mainly this morning when I got out of the shower, and I was drying my. Come back.
No, it's over here.
Haven't been thinking anything crazy this time.
To be safe.
I actually know it was kind of crazy because I was drying my face as you do, and my hair, and I was like, well, I'm so woolly right now.
Yes.
Not really. I'm more fluffy than woolly, but
Okay, yeah.
it's okay. I have this thing, right? If I wash my hair and then I don't put a hat on it and like sweep it all back, it just becomes like fluff. Like
It's funny.
it's not great. It's straight. It's just straight and like and just it's like it like starts to encompass its own area where it just wants to exist.
Oh.
And give me 1 second. I just want to straighten this up a bit. Sorry about that. So it like just goes out. So instead of being like it normally is, like how it is now, that was unintentional. But it's like, oh yeah, it's all kind of, it just kind of goes like, like just, but it stays out because obviously it's clean.
I don't have that issue.
I don't really get how it works, but I was like drying my hair and I'm like, oh, it's gonna go fluffy. And I hate when it goes fluffy because it's like it just gets everywhere. It gets in my face. Like I can't even eat 2-minute noodles because I'm like trying to eat 2-minute noodles and I got hair in my face. I'm just like, I just want to eat my 2-minute noodles. I can't do it. And I love 2-minute noodles. Like probably my third favorite quick snack.
No?
Dude, beef 2-minute noodles. Oh.
Yeah.
So last week, where we were chilling here until like 1 in the morning, I realised I hadn't eaten all day.
It's like every time I've come around recently.
Yeah, but like we were chilling until 1 in the morning. I realised I hadn't eaten all day when you were leaving, and I was like, oh fuck. Like that could be
Which
why.
day was that?
Wednesday.
Didn't we get Macca's?
No, that was on Saturday. That was Saturday.
No, that means I probably didn't eat either.
Yeah, but I was
Except I didn't do what you did, eat after.
I was sitting there and I was just like, oh my god, I have this massive headache. And I was like, and I feel sick. And I was like, holy shit, I've done a fucking super intense workout. I've done this, I've done that. I just haven't eaten all day. Like I've been going for like 13.5 hours. I just haven't eaten all day. I'm like, I think I'd had like a litre of iced tears. That's pretty much all I'd had all day. I was like, okay, so that's probably why I've got a headache. So I went upstairs and I was like, okay, I could go out and get something to eat. I'm like, but I want to go to bed. And then I was like, you know what? I had some beef 2-minute noodles in the pantry. Popped them out, cooked them up, ate them. I was like,
Perfect.
not really, but I was like, that will sustain me.
Until breakfast.
Yeah.
If you have breakfast. I don't have breakfast.
I was going to have breakfast. I was going to make myself bacon and eggs.
Ooh.
And I didn't. I love bacon and eggs. So finish up at the gym this morning. Having a shower, you know, clean myself up. Don't want to be stinky.
Yeah,
Got a whole day ahead of me. Want to be clean. And I'm drying myself, and I'm like, oh, my hair's gonna be fluffy. And I'm like drying my face, and I'm like, oh, my beard, because my beard was like My facial hair was like sort of damp, and I was like dry. And then I was like, my towel's sort of damp as well. I'm like, this isn't getting any drier. So I'm just like, fuck. So I used my hair towel and I was like on my face, and I was like, I should go back to having a mustache. So much less to dry, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's fair.
Here's my thoughts, right? Here's my thoughts. Yeah. I'm like, mustache. Mustache means you get things done. Mustache.
Okay.
Power. Mustache.
Okay.
Take on the world. We've been through this before, but who has mustaches? Race car drivers.
True.
Astronauts. Firemen.
Wait, don't do they?
Police. No, most of these people are
Yeah.
now But
I
in
thought it
the,
was supposed to be clean
when
shaven.
when they were cool, they had mustaches.
Okay, fair.
And I was like trying to come up with like the ultimate this is the power of the mustache, and I think I found it.
Okay.
Right? Okay, stay with me because we're gonna get a little dark, but then we're gonna come back and you're gonna understand, right?
Oh.
Hitler had a mustache,
He did. Yeah.
which gave him power,
Yeah.
and he was crazy, right?
He indeed was.
You know who
it
doesn't?
was a weird little mustache.
You know who doesn't have a mustache? Vladimir Putin.
Oh.
So think about this, right? Hitler, who had a mustache and was crazy. Putin doesn't have a mustache, crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When Hitler invaded a small country bordering his country, started a world war.
Yes.
When Putin invaded a small country next to his country, got his ass kicked.
Oh, he did.
Like, getting his ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
What is the difference? They're both powerful countries with crazy men in the lead. One doesn't have a mustache.
And as far as
Now,
we
I'm
know,
not saying causation is correlation is causation, but I'm saying he didn't have a mustache.
difference between Hitler and Putin. As far as we know, Hitler didn't fall down a set of stairs and poop his pants.
But he did only have one testicle.
Ah, true.
Swings and roundabouts. But I'm just saying, can we say that Hitler's success came from his mustache? Probably. I think so. I think that's what we have to assume there. You know who else has a mustache? Tom Selleck. He's a pretty cool dude. You know, if someone said to you, "Hey, you're like Tom Selleck," you wouldn't take that as an insult.
Okay.
You'd be like, "Thank you."
True.
I
agree.
He's a nice, why thank you. That's very kind of you. I am like Tom Selleck.
Yeah, see, look at.
Yeah. So I was just like that. I'm like, do I go back to a mustache? Honestly, probably not, because I'm lazy. It's like,
That's fair.
why do I have long hair at this point in time? Because I'm lazy. No other reason. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate having long hair.
Do you know why I can't use laziness as an excuse? It takes longer to trim than it does to actually just shave it off.
I'm confused by you.
Trim a bit.
Oh.
It takes longer to do that than it does to actually just shave the fucker off.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
No, because I don't know how you do it, but in my world, how I do it is I get my electric beard trimmer.
Yeah, so do I.
I trim it down. If I'm going to shave it all off, I trim it down to the lowest the beard trimmer goes. Then I pull out my razor, and then I
okay,
all
yeah,
over
see,
my
I
face.
don't do it that
Then
way.
smooth.
All of my stuff is electric, so I don't use a razor. What? I haven't used
Kris.
one in years.
Kris, how do you get a clean shave if you don't use a razor?
Don't do a clean shave.
It's like, fuck, I just, even when I'm not being lazy and I trim up down here, which is what I generally do if I'm deciding to keep all the fluff.
Yeah.
Electric goes down, get out my razor blade,
Yeah.
so that it's nice and smooth.
Eh.
Smooth.
It lasts for a
Anyway,
short period of time, so I don't care.
Yeah, you've got to shave like
long
once
as
a
it's-
week at least.
Once a fuck, I do my neck every morning.
Yeah, no, but you've got to shave it with a proper razor once a week at least, so that you've got that nice. Oh god,
Can't be fucking bothered.
dude, it's like when I do my chest, I do it like once a month because it's so time consuming. But it's like you get the body shaver, you shave it all down, and you're like, okay, now I just got all these little spiky hairs. So then you get the body razor.
Yeah.
I use a different razor for my face and my body because that's just hygienic.
Yeah.
And then it's like shaving cream all over my body, rubbing it on my body,
Yeah, see, I don't do that.
and then just it's like smooth as a baby's butt.
I just.
Unless you don't, and then you go cut my nipple.
Ooh.
That's bleeding. But I haven't done that in a long time because
It's like me cutting this morning.
I'm a professional. Yeah,
That
that's
took
happened.
ages to stop bleeding.
Dude, don't even get me
Oh,
started.
fucking
Have I ever told you the story about how I was shaving at college? Like, so I had my razor. I'm just like shaving my beard up because I was.
I don't think so.
It was right before study period, so it was time to shave down from the study beard.
Okay.
So take it all off so that you only grow your study beard. And I'm in the bathroom at like 2 a.m. because my sleep patterns were fucking shit. And I'm shaving it up, and then all of a sudden behind me a door just gets like kicked open because Dookie had been in the shower.
Fuck.
I hadn't known because he'd like turned it off when I'd come in. I just been sitting there humming to myself. Door gets kicked open, I'm just like, motherfucker, turn! And I'm like, and he's like, ha! And I'm like, ha! And he's like, you're bleeding. I'm like, oh! Because when I turned, I just so I had this nice big like cut here, and I was just like, you're a fucking bitch. And he's like, oh dude, that's pretty bad. I was like, I know, right? It wasn't that bad. It was very shallow and like healed up in like a day. But I was just like, fucking like I turned, I just like had this blood like across. I was like, dude, never fucking, never startle a man when he's shaving his face. Like, what if I'd been shaving my balls? And he's like, oh god. I was like, oh god, indeed. But no, we used to have this.
Takes even longer.
We used to have this guy, and he was hilariously funny because like one of the big complaints,
Yeah.
because it was an all-male college, we all shaved,
yeah.
obviously, because men. But there was one guy who like lived on our floor but wasn't really there all the time, and like there would always be a complaint like, okay, whoever is like leaving their little hairs all over the sink, just wash it down. And like we're like, oh, like who's doing this? We can't. Because everyone would wash it down because it's, you know, again, hygienic and polite.
Well, yeah.
But then one day I walked into the bathroom and this guy's there, Ed. Like, he was a great guy. He was hilariously funny, and like he'd always play like the hamster dance, as I was saying. So I walk into the bathroom, and like so he'd like we'd know if he was in college for the week or whatever because you'd just hear like music from like the 90s playing from his bedroom on repeat.
I mean, solid choice.
So like, yeah, you'd like literally walk in, if you could hear the hamster dance going off, you'd be like, oh, he's back. Because he was like a 6-year med student or something, like end of the road med student, so he was only in college like once a week, like one week out of like every 4, because the rest of it he was off at hospitals. Yeah, so anyway, he's in one day and I walk in and I'm like, I think I finally figured out who leaves the hairs. And it's not because he was like just leaving them on purpose, but it's because he dances around when he's doing the shaving with his electric. So instead of just having like a mess in front of him, he's like got a mess everywhere. And I was like, I think I finally figured it out. I was sitting there talking about it one day and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't even remember his name anymore. But like at the time I was just like, I'm pretty sure it's him. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I walked in one day and he like dances around the bathroom while he's shaving, and they're like, bloody hell.
It makes so much fucking sense now.
And I was like, yeah. Like, and of course, because he was like barely ever there and would like do all this shit like late at night, it was like only the super late people would ever see him like doing shit like that. That's just like, yeah. So shaving, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous art.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, no, so I was like, maybe I should go back to a mustache. And then I'm like, no, I'm probably too lazy, but I have decided I'll probably do it for the snow trip.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, snowboarding with a mustache.
Try to grow some handlebars, man.
No, just fuck handlebars, Chris. What am I?
No, I
a
just thought
bikey?
I just thought you'd look like a dipshit.
I'll have a respectable mustache.
Okay, fine.
Fucking what am I? A bikey? Do I want people accosting me in the snow being like, hey dude, you got drugs? No. No.
Well, just put your hand down. Cocaine.
I got
I have a white
white
powder.
stuff.
It's white and powder. Oh no, it's come together now. You have to break it up.
It's kind of melty.
It goes down easier.
I got water in my lungs. God damn it.
It's like, I got this cocaine off this. No, I'm drowning.
But yeah, I just like go back to the mustache because the mustache is power. As my before statement made clear.
You did, yeah.
The mustache is power. The mustache makes you formidable.
Surprisingly, we didn't go as dark as I thought we were going to with that conversation.
Find that whenever we bring up Hitler, we've probably gone pretty dark.
I mean, we've gone pretty dark, but have we not had worse conversations?
We have, but we've probably never shared them on the internet.
No, that would be bad.
Yes, it would be. 3 things you do not want to do. 1, have super dark conversations on the internet. 3, wait, that's not how numbers work.
Just keep going.
3, forget number 2. No, but yeah. What do they say? Don't put anything on the internet you're not proud of, because future employees will see it. Employers.
True.
Someone in the future will see it and they'll be like, hey, were you this person? Oh god, yeah, you got me. And it's like, okay, some of these things are slightly embarrassing.
Hey, like, if this gets thrown off, we don't have to worry about that.
True.
You hold the employer. And we're the two that have the conversation.
Kris, I would like to bring you in here. So you talk a lot about Hitler.
You just start all these conversations.
Wait,
yes,
you're the one who started.
Continue them.
Yes, but I'm the boss now. So
I'm the boss, and you can't be continuing that.
we've got to have a talk about you and your personality. No, but like, you know, sometimes things that stay on the internet are like super funny. Like, hey, are you the person who jumped off a boat when that guy caught a fish and the fish came in and you went out? And it's like, oh yeah, that was me. And it's like, huh, you're a coward, but, you know, not bad. And then there's other things like, hey, were you the neo-Nazi that was out at this thing being a neo-Nazi? It's like, yeah, that was me. How'd you guess? It's like, it was the tattoos and the skinhead. I should have seen it coming. It's like that episode of Community where the guy's got the swastika tattoo and like they're standing there looking at it and he's like, it's gonna be a whole maze eventually.
Oh jeez. That's
such
funny.
a great episode. It's a secret trampoline episode if you're looking for it.
I'll have to look for it.
Oh, dude, Community is one of my favorite TV shows.
I mean, I've watched a chunk of it.
Like, I don't watch TV anymore, and I think some of it has to do with the fact that I just don't think TV holds up anymore.
No, you get the occasional good show, but it's occasional.
Yeah, I know that people are going to be like, Game of Thrones, Darcy, Game of Thrones, and I was like, I wasn't a big fan.
It's background noise for me, and that's it.
More of a Lord of the Rings compared to Game of Thrones, like book-wise, at least.
Yeah.
Because I was like, one of them is a really good, inventive writer who pretty much invented a lot of fantasy tropes, or what would become fantasy tropes.
True.
And the other one is just a dirty old man who likes to write about incest and naked people. And never finishes his stories.
True.
And then when, you know, TV shows wise, neither.
No.
I'm a big fan of Amazon's The Rings of Power. Did I tell you about that? I watched 4.5 minutes and went, nope.
Okay. No, I haven't actually watched it yet.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to get around just to see it.
Look, the thing is, it's my problem with a lot of TV shows where they go, we're making this for the fans, and you go, are you? Are you? Because the fans of this... It's like, oh, we're making this for the fans, and it's like, who are the fans? The people who love the Lord of the Rings movies. That's technically not the fans. They love the Lord of the Rings movies.
True.
The fans of what you're making are the people who have read Tolkien's works.
Yeah.
And considering how nasty, especially like some of the earlier of Tolkien's works, can actually be to the reader, like, they're not pleasant books to read. When I say they're not pleasant books to read, it's very wordy with a lot of made up names, like the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is a book that focuses on elves, which is a language that Tolkien made up. It's a language that works, don't get me wrong, the man was a linguist. However, for the average person, reading when every single name there is something like Finwë, Fingal, Fin whatever, people get really confused.
That's
it's like,
fair.
like, seriously, 7 of the main elves, or 7 of the most powerful elves from that name, literally all start with no. Fin. It's like Fingal, Fingalin, Finwë, Finwa, Finwë, and it's like, so unless you're someone who actually cares and is actually going to put in the effort, you're not going to read that book because you're like, I'm confused. Who was this again? What was going on? So it's like when they say something like, we're making it for the fan. So pretty much whenever a TV or movie goes, we're making it for the fans, I always get a really little bit of like, but are you? Or are you making it to appeal to everyone so that you sell tickets? Or
more often than not, it doesn't work.
Get views. And like, that's what I meant by like that when they did the Rings of Power, they're like, we're making it for the fans. I went, are you? And then I watched 4 minutes of it and went, as a fan, and as someone who's read the books, you have not made this for me because you haven't stuck true to the books at all. True. Which means that as a fan, you didn't make it for me. You made it to appeal to a larger audience. And that's fine. That's how you make money. You appeal to a larger audience. But don't say it's for the fans. Don't get the fans' hopes up. Say, hey, we made this to appeal to everyone. So we're going to take the story and we're going to change it how we see fit. And as we generally don't plan things out properly, and okay, if you're a TV person, go, TV plan out everything. Go watch a TV series and tell me that they plan out everything.
Not well.
Because most of them end in giant garbage fires. Game of Thrones, great example. Lost, great example.
Yeah.
TV shows that get cancelled, great example.
Yeah, well, not always. Sometimes I don't know why they cancel. Some of them are good and everyone loves it and then all of a sudden gone.
Mainly they get cancelled because the ratings aren't what you want. And things like, okay, so think of Firefly. Firefly is a great example.
Yeah.
Firefly has a cult following. People love it. Wasn't getting views, so it was cancelled. But didn't even get its full first season. Was that a mistake? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Because it had enough of a dedicated fan base. And I don't know. As I'm not a TV guy, I can't really say. But for me personally, I think a dedicated fan base, like a super dedicated fan base, is better than a large casual fan base that will fall and go with the trends.
True.
Because if you fall and go with the trends, then okay, yes, for the next 3 months we've got your attention. You're paying attention to us. We end season 1, we have great numbers, we're going on to season 2. Season 2 starts. Oh god, it's been long enough that all of the fair weather fans have gone.
True.
Whereas dedicated fan base, they're the ones that, like the X-Files and stuff, who 10 years later when you restart the series, they come back. They're the Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Again, we're not going to get started on Star Wars because Disney does not treat its fans well.
Wasn't done a video on that.
We have done a video on that, the first video on that. But, needless to say, when you are handed a large, because the Star Wars fans were not a small dedicated fans, they were a large dedicated fan base.
True.
When you are handed that, do not go out of your way to tear it down. What you've just been given is a license to print money. Treat them well, treat them with respect, they will stay. Like, let's face it, how many years was it between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace? Yet the Star Wars, and remember, there was, like, okay, there was all the books and stuff still coming out, but
yeah.
Star Wars was relative, in terms of cinematic releases, Star Wars was quiet between those two. There weren't TV shows, there weren't spin-off movies. When Phantom Menace was released, that fandom just came straight back.
True.
Came out in numbers. They may not have loved the movie, they may not have even liked the movie, but they were there. True. Many of them, even the ones that were like, I hate this movie, saw it like 7 times.
It's true.
It's like, I hate this movie.
Let's go watch it again.
How many times have you seen it? This is my 5th watching. I'll probably watch it 2 more times, but then never again.
Never again. Because no. And then
it gets a re-release. It's like, okay, I am watching it again, but only because this is a re-release.
Now because they have the copies of it every year on May the 4th.
Yeah. We've got to watch it once every 3 years, otherwise the Empire wins.
Yes.
But, you know, that's what I mean. Like, that was a fandom that was big and dedicated.
Yeah.
Kind of an oddity. I guess Star Wars and Star Trek are the two that really have that. Anyway, yeah, so they were big they were big and they were dedicated. But I feel like for like a TV show, if you've got a small dedicated fan base, that's actually bankable.
True.
I feel. Again, as I'm not a producer or a Hollywood man, and I know that making these TV shows costs a lot of money, but I just feel like a small dedicated, like, when I say small, I'm not talking like 4 people who like it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like the fans we see where it's like, oh, you know, this show has about 6 million fans, like super dedicated fans worldwide. For me, that feels like enough to keep doing it, because you can make money off those.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like, I don't know. I just find TV. It shocks me sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Firefly didn't even make it through its first season. Community made it through 5. I think they technically wanted 6 and 6, but they made it 5.
What, Constantine, which was supposed to start the Arrowverse, didn't make it. Didn't make past the first season.
But then you've got shows like Big Bang Theory, which make it to like 7, 8 seasons, and you're like,
yeah.
Did people still watch this? As far as I was concerned, like, people stopped watching this after like season 2 when they realized nothing, that there wasn't anything else to it.
Not really, no.
And it's like, so you've got shows that don't last a single season. You've got shows that, you know, as I said, Community's
got a spin-off.
I think Community is a pretty good example of a show that really did make it to the end of its life.
Yeah.
Because like season 1 and 2 are pretty good. Season 3 we start to see a dip in.
It's quite common around season 3.
A dip in quality. Season 4 comes back. I think it's okay. Season 5 is just kind of like and they're like, they're like going for 6 seasons in a movie, because that was their whole fucking thing. 6 seasons in a movie was whenever they were talking about TV shows. You know, if you could get 6 seasons in a movie, you were good. Could they have done a season 6? Would it have been worth watching? Questionable. However, possibly, because I feel, and you know, as I said, this just comes from my knowledge of TVs. If I go for a TV show, a long-running TV show, and I say this is the last season, 100%, this is it, no more after this, we're done and dusted after this season. Yeah. You can bring back a lot of the people you lost. Like people who left the show because they're like, no, I want to go do something else now. I've been doing this show for like 4 years now. I want to go, and I got to go do something else. I've got to.
Yeah. That's
fair. They often come back for that last season because it's like, I can come back, do one more season, reprise this role, and I know I'm done after this.
Yeah.
So, Community, would season of 6 have been any good? Maybe. Like maybe it would have been good, just on the pure basis of they could have brought back all the original cast.
Yeah.
And then like they had a possibility to bring back the original cast as like, or at season 4 when they were like, yeah, we've still got the go ahead to keep making seasons. Members of the original cast were like, no, we're going. We don't want to be part of this anymore. We've got other things we want to do.
Yeah.
And I get that because making TV shows takes up a lot of your goddamn life. It's not like a movie where it's like, yeah, we did that for like 3 months and then I was done. It's like, no, we were pretty much non-stop for a year. Not a year, but you know, we were go kind of for a very long time. And because we had multiple seasons, it was years of our lives. So, you know, that's my thing. Like when they say it's the last season, awesome. However, as you noted before with Big Bang Theory, spin-offs. I don't think spin-offs ever actually work though, do they? Young Sheldon, I have seen very little of it, and like, okay, I'm going to admit this. I like the Big Bang Theory first season so much, I have the whole first season. Yeah. Because I really liked the first season. I thought the first season was great. Second season, as I said, was okay. Third season, I was like, because, you know, like, there was character growth, but it didn't really seem to do anything.
Okay.
It was like, the characters started getting girlfriends and not being quite so stupidly bad at being humans. but then other things like their characters didn't really change. And you're like,
Okay.
like I get it. It's like, oh, but this is the character they like, and it's like, yeah, but having a wife changes people. Having a significant other in your life changes people. Either way, as I said, I never really stuck with the later seasons. But the first season, I was like, yeah, I like this enough that I bought the box set of that season.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
And I don't regret that, because occasionally I still go back and watch the first season when I want to catch up with the nerds.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, I don't think spin-offs work. I think spin-offs... I'm going off two because I can't really think of any. Young Sheldon, which I've seen a little bit of, and as someone who liked the first season of The Big Bang Theory, but not everything else, I watch Young Sheldon and I'm just like, guys, really? Really? I know you wanted to keep making money off this IP, but this is not good.
Which has some good points in it. I find that with most shows, though, it has some good points in it, but not enough to keep me.
And the other one was Joey, which was just a train wreck after Friends.
Wait, that was I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because it was a train wreck after Friends.
Yeah.
Pretty much, they wanted to keep making money after Friends wrapped, but...
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, from what I've heard, it wasn't their first option.
Okay.
They wanted other members of Friends, but they were all like, no, we've spent like 10 years doing this, no.
Yeah.
Whereas Matt LeBlanc was like, yeah, okay, we can do my character, I enjoy playing my character, whatever. But yeah, it was kind of like, I don't think it was entirely the character's fault. I think a lot of the writing changed him because Joey was never a leading man in the cast. He needed the straight guy to be the crazy guy off.
Yeah.
So they changed his character a bit, but that was sort of suicide because it was like, we've changed the character, so it's not the character that we knew from the 10 seasons of this TV show.
Yeah.
Why are we going to watch it? So, I'm trying to think of any others, but I can't really think of them.
We know there's more.
Because I don't count things like Stargate Atlantis as a spin-off. I consider that its own series based in the world of Stargate.
Oh, that makes sense.
For me, a spin-off is something that really requires that you enjoyed the first one to even get interested in the second one.
Yeah, whereas the Stargate, you may not like Atlantis, we like the first, but all the other way around.
It's like, and they use characters from, like, Young Sheldon uses Sheldon. Joey used Joey.
Yeah.
They use one of the characters from the cast to try and push it along. It was kind of like, I don't know if you remember it, but when Scrubs wrapped up, and then they did Scrubs Medical School.
Yeah, I didn't know it though.
Can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was like the later seasons of Scrubs. It might have been like can't remember what it was, but
I didn't know they actually did anything else off of it.
It may have just been the last seasons.
Okay.
But what I remember from it is that you had Scrubs with, Turk, Elliot, JD, all of that cast.
Yeah.
And then when JD left, it may have just been the seasons after he left. I'm not sure if they made it a whole new thing, like changed it. But it was like focusing on new doctors, like 2 new young doctors, but with cameos from like Turk and the grumpy old Dr. Kelso, and like all those people were in it, but they weren't the main characters anymore. And for me, I was just like,
don't recall ever seeing any of that. So
I can check a picture of it. Scrubs TV show.
I have to see one. There's a possibility I've seen.
Is his name JD?
Think so. It's been so long since I've seen any of it.
I can't remember. Why is it in videos? Fuck.
Oh, you clicked on it.
doesn't really help me. Scrubs TV series. Sorry about this. This is totally unprofessional of me. But I'm just trying to remember if it was a...
Yeah, I'm supposed to be the unprofessional one that randomly grabs my phone to look stuff up.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
it's not
weird.
usually me. Quickly. Do that thing where you just make things up.
Which, 742.
That's not the thing.
106?
Yep, that'll work.
Okay, sweet. 106.
Apparently Kris fails to just say interesting things when required to.
Yeah, that's pretty normal though. We know that. I suppose they do it with anime as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they die off pretty quick. Attack on Titan.
Okay, so I think...
Yeah.
I'm just... Okay, yeah. I think that it was just season 9.
Okay.
So they didn't rename it. But season 9, they were like, oh yeah, because like season 8 ended, but the show was still super popular. So they went, we can still make money on this. So they changed the format a bit and focused on 2 new young doctors because they were like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like they tried to recapture lightning in the bottle that was Scrubs. I don't know how much of Scrubs you watched, but I love Scrubs. Scrubs is
I watched it a fair amount.
But then when season 9 came in and it was like all of the main cast were like more or less cameos. Yeah. Like they'd come in for a little bit because we were focusing on this new class of doctors. Like,
everyone watching it was watching it for the main cast.
Exactly. It was like any sitcom. Brilliant. Is that your phone?
No.
Oh, you're going to pause it. So anyway, so Scrubs was like any sitcom. You watch it for the cast. You know, the actual sitcom itself isn't that great. Like the situational comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they're in this. Like most of the situations are day-to-day life. However, it's the cast you fall in love with.
True.
So you know you watch How I Met Your Mother to see what Ted and Barney, Robin, Marshall, and Lily are up to next.
Well, yeah.
You don't watch it because you want to be like, oh, I want to see what these random people hanging out in a bar are doing.
No, because that's a weird thing to watch.
No, exactly.
As much as we did watch it.
Exactly. Like, you watch Friends to see what the group of friends are doing, not how people live in New York City and hang out at a coffee place. You know, you watch Scrubs because you liked the characters in Scrubs, not because you wanted to see a comedy about a hospital. That may have been the first thing that turned you onto Scrubs, but you liked the characters, that's why you stayed. So when they kind of switched out the characters and were like, hey, but it's the same wacky hijinks in a hospital, you were kind of like...
Just have to recreate something.
Well, it's kind of like I said with Star Wars, right? Why would I watch The Force Awakens when I can just go watch A New Hope?
True. It's very true.
Why would I watch season 9 of Scrubs when I can watch season 1?
Yeah.
It's like, sense. But it's the continuation of the story. It's like, but is it? Because these aren't the characters that are in the story that I'm watching. These are new characters. It's a new story.
If you had brought them in a few seasons beforehand,
possibly. But again, this
this
is the issue. They didn't think that far ahead. They never thought to the point where they went, oh well, our actors don't want to be in it anymore.
Yeah.
So we need to have another group coming through ready to take the wheel. There are shows like that though, like well, the only one that comes to mind is Home and Away, which I do not watch because let me tell you one thing about Home and Away.
I don't think I've ever watched one.
I have a theory about how Home and Away is going to end.
Okay, yeah.
I have two theories. Two theories of how Home and Away is going to end, and I think you've heard them both.
Quite probably.
But the only way that it can work with the way the writers have written that show to this point is 1. And if either of these happen, I'm coming after you, writers of Home and Away, because these are mine.
Yeah.
1. A gas leak. It was all just a gas leak. It's just a bunch of people lying on the ground because there was a gas leak.
That's right. Yeah.
2. Alf Stewart is the massivest drug dealer in the world, and everyone in Zoma Bay is just part of his drug smuggling operation.
Yeah.
And that's why all the weird stuff happens. That's why criminals and crazy people just pop up every now and then in this quiet little middle of nowhere town called Summer Bay. And they like, for those of you who don't know what Summer Bay is and what Home and Away is, let me just wrap this up really quickly so that you can understand the craziness of it all. There has been like 7 stalkers, Summer Bay stalkers.
Okay.
And I mean, like, this town has like legitimately like 5,000 people in it. So like to have one stalker would be crazy. Like that's 1 in 5,000. You're like, ooh, that's possible, but that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
To have like the Summer Bay stalker that came back, then the next crazy person. It's like, this stuff is insane. Like, literally insane. Like, you know, weird.
What?
You're just moving.
Get back your shot properly.
But yeah, so it's like, this is a tiny town and it just has some crazy shit going on it. I'm like, so it's either a gas leak and it's all in their fucking heads. And like the final episode is going to be like a dude rocking up in like a fucking
hazmat suit.
No, like a gas company overalls with a clipboard and just being like, what the fuck are all these people doing here? I said to clear it out. It's a gas leak. Or it'll end with, why is it so loud? She's fucking deaf, that's why. Or it'll end with the cops busting in and it's a raid. Yes. And Alf Stewart's a drug dealer, and that's why, because he's the longest running character in the whole series. And that's literally, that's the only way I can see it ending, because so much crazy shit happened in this one tiny town. It's
If
like,
they ever decide to end it.
fuck, I really hope they do, because it's not good.
No.
That being said, it probably makes them a lot of money, because at 7 o'clock at night, people just leave it on. Like, that's like my... You are joking.
That one would probably leave in.
Turn it down.
Turn it down.
So loud.
It's a little better.
Meh. But yeah, it's just like, you know, like, hopefully they end it. It's not good TV. It's kind of like,
I don't know how people follow it so much.
First of all, it's kind of like The Block, right? I think, because I have this thing, like, if someone in the house walks away from a TV and leaves it on a show that is terrible, I walk in and I turn it off. Like, if this TV is left on and The Block is on, I walk in and I fucking turn it off. I don't care if someone just got up to walk outside for a second, come back in and rewatch it. No. I don't want that left on, because that's viewership that they take and say, like,
True.
No, but look how popular it is. People are watching this. I'm like, no. The TV was just on when this came on, and no one changed the channel before they walked away. They just walked away. Like, so we turn that off because we do not want them to think that people are watching this. I think Home and Away is the same. It's on at 7 o'clock right after the news. So people watching the news just leave it on because there's nothing else on. It's 7 o'clock. There's nothing else on.
There's nothing else on. We finished the news. We'll leave it on for background noise, and then it just stays.
Yeah. Oh, I'm eating dinner, so I just walked away from the TV, and it's like, joie. So as I said.
But having said that, it's got following outside of Australia as well.
Yeah, no, that's the weirdest thing.
It's disappointing.
Like what? This is why people who come to Australia think everything's super dangerous, because they think that all of our tiny towns have like 50,000 crazy people in it, and it's like, no, we do not have a in Australia. We do not have a 10-to-1 level of psychopath.
I knew.
It's not even the inverse of that, where it's 1 psychopath for every 10 people, let alone 1 person for every 10 psychopaths. Yeah. But that's what Home and Away would have you believe. So as I said, I am really hoping for the gas ending.
Yeah.
But if I do see that, I do expect to check Home and Away. As I said, like, but Home and Away is so long running because they've never just gone, oh look, all of the people have left, here's the new people. It's always like, oh, one person's left, bring in a new person, and then we'll use the rest of the cast to make that person.
Add 'em in.
And then you kind of get to the point where they are now, where it's like a lot of the main cast are people that brought in after, like well after other main cast. Like, I think there's probably 3 or 4 characters from when I was a kid still in it.
I know of one.
Alf.
Yeah. That's it.
But
only because I've seen it in
but
passing.
that's how you've got to do it. You know, you've got to slowly wean new characters into the cast so that they become accepted.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, here's a whole new cast, because that just kind of goes. That's where people go like, yeah, I kind of like the old cast better.
So you go into
the second
see the old cast.
The second you can make a comparison, you've lost.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, if you've got one new character and you go, oh, I like the character they replaced better, but I still like the rest of the cast around them,
you can get away with it.
you can get away with that. It's not death, but it's,
because that other one,
you know, you've got to hope that they're gonna stick because of the rest of the cast.
Yeah. And that
The
the rest of the cast
second
will cause
you
to grow
lose-
onto the rest.
Exactly. That the rest of the cast make that person one of them. That person becomes a thing, and you get to the point where I was like, I don't take another example. Achievement Hunter.
Yeah, yeah.
When Jeremy joined after Ray left, a lot of people didn't like Jeremy. A lot of people still didn't like him by the time he left. But 2 years later, it was like Jeremy had always been a part of it. It was hard to think of a time before he was part of the group.
Fair.
Well done. That's
difficult for me because I didn't really watch any of this stuff before.
Yeah, but for me, I go back and I watch, like, if I watch something super old before Jeremy was part of it, I'm like, oh wow, Jeremy's not in this one. Whereas, because the stuff where I was like watching them every day and stuff.
The Game Grumps?
Yeah.
Fucking. It's hard to remember a fucking time when JonTron was a part of it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it wasn't actually Dan.
Exactly, and that's the thing, like, because these people are brought in later, but if they're with the rest of the cast and they're working well and the cast treats them just like one of them, before you know it, they're one of them.
Yeah.
Whereas if you take the cast, cut it all down and go, here's the new cast, that's when you lose your viewers. That's when you lose the people who are interested, because they're like, yeah, no, I thought the show was starting to lose some of its charm, but I really liked the cast and I liked those characters, so I stuck with it. But now that those characters are gone, there's new characters, and the show's lost its charm, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And you can. Whereas if you slowly replace characters and like slowly bring in new characters to replace the old ones,
But there are times
then we get the point where it's like, oh yeah, okay, we're sticking with this, let's keep going.
Well, there are times when, so even when it's lost its charm, you can't even stick with it then.
Big Bang
Especially
Theory.
like Charmed. They lost the charm.
What
Bad
is
time.
Charmed?
It was meant. I don't fucking watched any of it. I haven't fucking watched any of it. I just know there's a show called Charmed.
Actually,
And then it was supposed to be a
because
really
I
bad time.
just heard the music. NCIS is a great example.
Oh yeah.
NCIS is now only, well, it doesn't even have any of its original cast left in it.
It's true.
I don't think McGee was in the first season, but like the cast is well and truly started to move on, but we accept the new cast because they've been slowly introduced, part of the team. So it was never like the whole team was suddenly different. It's a mistake that a lot of things make, like How I Met Your Mother. Let's use that again.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden you tuned into How I Met Your Mother and it wasn't Ted, Barney, Lily, Robin, Marshall, it was just some random other characters, you'd be like, wait, what?
Well,
You probably wouldn't watch the show.
I wouldn't watch it because from previous experience of just seeing certain things, it's like they try to copy everything that's been done.
Yeah.
And they try to play
if
the
I'm
part
being,
of the others.
If I'm being
and it's
perfectly
just-
honest, season 9 of How I Met Your Mother isn't brilliant. Like so long of it is spent at Barney and Robin's wedding, and then the final episode is just kind of like super rushed. And it's like,
Yeah.
why did we spend so long here when it was irrelevant later? And in the last like episode and a half maybe, but I think it's literally the last episode, we get this super rush info dump, and it's like, Why did we spend so long here? Why didn't we shorten that so that we could extend this actual important part at the end? But by that point, they were looking at wrapping it up, and I already liked the characters enough that even when it wasn't at its best, I was like, no, but I still like these characters, so I'm going to watch.
I mean, I finished it completely.
And then if, but as I said, if they tried to do a spin-off of How I Met Your Mother, I'd be like, I don't think I could watch it. Like, even if it was about Barney or something, and like, he's one of my favourite characters, because I just fucking love how stupid he was.
Yeah.
But I couldn't watch it. Lillian Marshall, I don't think so. Robin, it was like, none of those characters alone was enough to sell the show. Whereas, together, they made a show that worked.
Oh, yeah. Works
so,
well.
if, and I think that, thankfully, because I can almost guarantee you that someone in some producer somewhere went, How I Met Your Mother made us lots of money. Spin-off. Who can we follow? Robin? Should we follow Robin? And I just think, thank God everyone in that cast went, no. Because I can almost guarantee you that someone went, we should make a spin-off. Money.
100%.
And it's like, and sometimes that's the worst thing.
Let's face it, you probably aim for Barney.
Yeah, well, Barney would make sense, as you were saying. But, again, my big thing is that I just go, thank God they said, thank God no one did it.
No one agreed.
Because I feel spin-offs can actually hurt the love you felt for the original show.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But yeah, I don't know. As I said, I want a spin-off that I was actually shocked about.
Yeah.
Was the Game of Thrones spin-off. Because how that ended and how people were just like, this sucked. And there was a lot of hate for the ending. I was surprised that any TV company had the balls to go, oh yeah, everyone's feeling really shitty about Game of Thrones right now. Let's make some more Game of Thrones. Yeah. Because to me that's just crazy. Apparently people I haven't talked to anyone about it, but the few people that I know who have said they were watching it haven't said that it was hot garbage. So maybe maybe people are liking it, or maybe people are just sitting there going, well, it's not hot garbage, so I have little complaints about it.
Yeah. Especially if they compare it to the last season.
I just realised I can't remember how we got on this topic. We've lost we have gone off the ball this time.
You say this time, it's not
every
common.
time
It's
we go off the ball every
common.
time. It's just normally okay.
We normally remember and get back on.
Normally I can remember what led us to this tangent, because this is a tangent and a half. Normally I'm like, that's where we went off, so let's continue on where we were, because whatever we were saying before the tangent happened.
It'd be really weird if this started from the mustache.
I don't think it did.
No, I don't think it did, but it'd be really weird.
Because we were talking about Tom Selleck. No, he's an actor, but we were. Anyway, as I said, I have no idea what we were talking about before we went off on this, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because so we can't even take it back to there and be like, remember that thought that I was saying, and then I jumped.
And led us to this.
That's just going to stay up in the air. So hopefully it wasn't important. Which is kind of
when this comes out.
That's kind of my whole attitude towards life in general. Like, when you miss a phone call and someone's like, "Oh, you missed a phone call," and you're like, if it's important, they'll ring back. When you're having a conversation with someone, you're like, anyway, my point is,
shit, what was it?
And they look at you and go, your point is, and you go, I've lost it. And they're like,
I don't know what
is your brain okay? And you're like, if it was important, it'll come back to me and I can, say it. Which I have done that. I've been the person who sits there and just been like, that's what I was saying. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, remember that conversation we were having 3 days ago? No. It's like, oh, well, the point I was going to make at the end of that, which I forgot, this is the point. It's important.
And now they've forgotten
it came back to me and they're like, oh. Actually, generally they just go, that's nice. Because they have forgotten it. And they're just like, that's great. That's brilliant. Oh. And you're like, yes. I told you we would come back.
Whereas I'm the person that's like, what the fuck was that about again? Now we're going to go over it again.
No. As I said, if it's important, it comes back to me. If it's not important, it doesn't. Which isn't always true. Sometimes I forget very important things and they just never come back to me.
Like me today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yesterday, technically.
Still can't breathe. But yeah, no. So, I don't remember what we were talking about before. I remember we started on mustaches. We went into TV shows somehow. Yeah, no, I don't even know what. Oh, honestly, I don't know what's going on half the time.
I can't even get back to the first TV show we're on.
Made for the fans.
That's right.
Made for the fans. Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, as I said, it's never made for the fans. Which is fine. Just don't lie to us. Don't say it's. We thought about you while we were making this because we wanted you to be happy, so we stuck to the original stuff as strictly as possible.
You know, we've said that in the middle of this tangent, and we forgot it still.
Yeah. And then you watch it and you go, wait, this was never made for the fans.
True.
And no one. I don't know, man. TV writers, man.
You get better at their jobs. Or quit.
That's harsh, you know. Some of them do a good job.
Yeah.
It's just.
But I'm talking about the ones that aren't good at their jobs. You need to get better at their jobs.
Sometimes I just think that, and it's a trap we all fall into. It's called pride, Kris. It's called pride.
Yeah, okay, fair.
And sometimes we think that we know better than the people that came before us. And we don't. And the truth is, you know, I'm a writer, so I can write a good story. And it's like, yes, but can you write a story as good as someone who's been called one of the greatest writers of all time?
Yeah.
Probably not. So people will notice the difference between you and them. It happens.
Yeah.
Don't really remember what we were talking about before that, though.
Nope.
Sorry, I forgot something.
108. 108.30?
Yeah, say 108.30.
108.30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll work.
But yeah, so like, as I said, like, it's all pride, and it's all like, you know, well, yeah, I can write a great story. You know, I make my living as a writer, and it's like,
Okay.
yep,
Sure.
and you're probably paid more than a lot of the writers back in history, because I know a lot of them were actually broke ass when they were writing their classics, and it wasn't until after they died that the books truly got way bigger.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But there is a reason why people pick up books like The Lord of the Rings and go, "This is a masterpiece," and a lot of people don't believe that. But the common consensus is that it's not only is it well written, but it's genre defining. It's a genre defining book.
100%.
It added so much to fantasy literature that
It's just like what Dragon Ball was defining to a lot of shonen as well.
exactly. Whereas, you know, I don't think a lot of people pick up old TV shows and go, the writing in this masterpiece. Because
the
the
acting
truth,
would have been good for its time. Not anymore.
the truth is, we look at. Well, I'm not even talking about the acting. I'm talking about the writing, because the acting can sometimes save shitty writing.
Oh yeah.
But like, if you just like take your favorite TV show, pick a random episode, and just read the screenplay for it. Like, just read like what the characters are saying, what they're doing, without that acting and without the actual characters doing it, and you go like, wait, this is terrible.
You generally would, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, there are TV shows out there that will go down as classics for the right reasons. There are those that will go down as classics for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Again, Lost comes to mind. Lost will go down in history as being a giant letdown. Thank you, JJ. But
They were all dead. I hope you have all watched it, and that wasn't a I don't care.
I haven't watched it.
But you also don't care.
We've been through this before. That was one of the ones where I watched and was like, this could be interesting. And then like I fell off like right after season 1 and never watched any more. And then when the ending came out, and everyone was like, "It sucked," and I was like, "Oh, thank God, I never got invested into it."
No, I didn't get invested. I just sat down one day. I'm like, "Oh, I remember this was okay" when I watched the first season.
But it wasn't.
And then I was watching it and it's like, "Oh, this must be the last step." But okay, they're dead. Okay.
Yeah. Again, that's the trap of pride, isn't it? As a writer, you go like, "I can write a great story," and then you kind of get stuck into a place where you're like, "What? The only option we have left is it was all just a dream, or they were already dead." And it's like, yeah, that happens, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are too ambitious, but that's why everyone says the "it was all just a dream" cliche is so terrible, because it is terrible. It's lazy. It's oh my God, I've written us into a situation where there is no way back from and no good endings.
From the first episode where he could immediately walk after being in a wheelchair for years.
Yeah.
And how did his legs work properly? How could they even support his weight?
There's no such thing as muscle atrophy in heaven.
Well, yeah, I know. That's what I mean. That's what tells you straight from the bat. It's like, oh yeah, they would dead or a dream. It's one of the two.
Yep.
Which is made of whose dream?
I don't. As I said, I just kind of. I think I would class more as a nightmare.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, you know, as I said, like.
But it is a nightmare, not just a bad dream.
That being said, do you remember the writers' strike from a while ago?
No.
Yeah, it was pretty much when everything went really shit because they didn't have the writers. So while the writers may not always be good, the alternative is super bad.
Like the movie?
No. I think that had writers for it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that had writers for it. I was just being a smart ass.
But yeah, no, when the writers' strike happened, let's just say it was really obvious that it happened.
Okay.
Especially for stuff that was half written when it happened, because that kind of stuff went from having a cohesive story. Because, like, I'll say this, the worst writers in movie and TV land, like the worst ones that are professional at their job, may write shit, but at least it's cohesive shit.
Fair.
It can generally be followed. However, during the writer's strike, there was like cohesive stuff that was then suddenly followed by stuff that made no sense. And you were just kind of like, what is going on? And it was like, yeah, well, what happened here was that the screenplay was only half done when the writer's strike happened. And because we had a schedule to keep, we just got Barry. Yeah, we got Barry. We went down to the pub and said, "Hey, Barry, can you write a script?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, probably." And that's what happened. Yeah, so that was, I think, that happened and made us all very thankful for the writers because, as I said, they may not all be diamonds, but they're not turds either.
Yeah.
We got a taste of that during the writers' strike, and that was pretty bad.
That is for sure. Well, I don't
remember it. You don't remember it, but
I really don't. I can agree, but I agree with.
I'm going to check this because something.
Yeah, it'd be easier if you told me something I did that I might have watched. That way, I might be able to actually pinpoint something.
Because I was like, remember there was that period where the shows that weren't good were suddenly even worse, and the shows that were good were pretty damn bad. And
I never. Don't get me wrong. If it was 2007, I didn't really watch a lot back then.
Yeah, but if you go and watch anything that's like from that time frame, there's
Scrubs. The final season of Scrubs was during that time.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
And things just got really, really fucking shit. Like.
No. Anyway, my point was, the writer's strike happened.
Yes.
Stuff got even worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I was basically saying, sometimes these writers need to check their pride a little bit because there are people better at writing than them. And when they go, I reckon I can fix this story up.
Game of Thrones writers, end of story.
I was talking more about the Rings of Power writers, but yeah, pretty much the same thing.
They did fine when they had, a storyline to already follow. When they had to make it up on their own, it
Well, no, well,
cacophony of
again,
photos.
I used the Rings of Powers. They've got a storyline to follow. It's all already written, but they've gone, no, we can do better. It's like, but can you? Can you actually do better than the person who invented this world? So what they did was, and that's like me saying, I'm going to tell you the story of the 2000s.
Starting
Let
in
me
the
start.
90s.
Let me start at the Boer War, and it's like, no, thousands of years beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's like, let me start 100 years beforehand. It's like, now I've got to condense all of this story. Sorry, guys, we didn't have time to tell. It's like, well, why did you start there? You were
Was it
telling me
about-
a story from this era. Why did you start
Yeah, I
all the
get-
way back there?
I get that, and again, I don't
Why
know
did you
enough about all
If
of
you
that
were going to
percentage.
tell me a story about the Millennium Bug and why everyone thought that the world was going to end in 2000, why did you start in 1880? The stuff wasn't relevant.
I get that.
Yoda literally could have defeated Palpatine. He just ran out of time. That's all there is to it. I think Mace Windu could have beat Palpatine. A lot of people,
Yeah, I believe it was,
a lot
it was only the distraction that.
dude, so many people be like, no, Palpatine intentionally lost to Mace Windu because he knew Anakin was going to come and Anakin would save, and I'm like, okay, that's a massive risk to take.
Huge risk.
Like, I'm going to bet that this kid who's coming in, whose emotions are just everywhere, is going to come in and save me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lie here in front of one of the most dangerous Jedi with his lightsaber at my face. I'm going to shoot some lightning so he reflects it back into my face, because that can't go bad.
Yeah.
And everything will work out fine. I'm like, no, you guys sit there and you say, Palpatine was so clever, he was so smart, he had it all planned out. I'm like, if he planned that out, he's not as smart as you think, because a good planner does not put themselves in a situation where it's like, one thing goes wrong, you're dead.
Yeah.
Anakin gets there and Mace Windu goes, I'm going to kill him, and he goes, actually, no, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, he's a pretty shit dude.
Like,
Yeah.
he
you
is
don't
evil.
need to-
Oh, wait, you've killed him? Like, who puts their life on the line for the fact that the kid's going to go like, no, and cut off his arm? What if he'd just gone, no, oh, I didn't activate my lightsaber because, I just said no, and oh, you've killed him? No, you do not take that risk if you're that smart.
You
He
don't-
was
you
beaten.
Don't let your...
And the whole thing is he was beaten because Mace Windu is a Sith killer.
Yes.
He lets the Sith fight him and he uses their dark side to fight them back. And then Yoda almost beat him as well because Yoda's a badass. But I think that because the story changes so much from what Tolkien actually wrote, people are going to start thinking they know the story when actually they don't. And this isn't
But
like
haven't
Star
even,
Wars where it's
haven't
like,
even they come out and been like, it's not.
I don't know. But this isn't like Star Wars where it's like, but this is what Disney wrote, and Disney now own the canon, so anything that came before them is legends, and anything that happens now is canon. This is a license of someone, so it's not even canon. It's just a license. They can't change anything that's actually written. The canon is still the canon. Does that make sense? The canon is what was written by Tolkien, and he changed the canon. Like, he didn't have it all planned out like he did. He made changes, and those changes are canon changes. My problem doesn't come with the TV show, it then comes with the fan who goes, yeah, but I know this because I watched the TV show, and this is what the TV show said, and you go, yeah, but that's not the canon.
Well, that's when you just turn around to him and go,
Read a book. Anyway, yes, the point is, this has gone on for far too long, considering that it was a tangent of a tangent of a tangent.
sorry, anyway. But yeah, so like, they
Writer's strike.
cut stuff up to
Wait, is that what we
to
said?
make it fit into
We
the
were
time frames
the
and
reason
all that.
she sat down is because I asked about when the writer's strike happened,
just
because
that.
there was the fucking giant. Like, remember how I was saying like the writers have pride and that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
they changed things?
I remember that part, but
The main story was Frodo taking the ring.
No, there's two
That's-
main stories running parallel.
I mean, to me, that's the main story of Lord of the Rings, is Frodo getting the ring back. I mean,
There's
yeah, there may be...
Frodo's story, and then there's Aragorn's story.
Yeah, but I couldn't give a crap. Aragorn wasn't... He was just finding himself. He was off doing shit and finding himself.
Incorrect.
I mean, he was with him, and then he
He
wasn't, and he was
was-
just finding himself. Whatever,
was
he
pretty
was
much
becoming the king he was meant to be.
No, he
Whatever.
was rebuilding the men and the old alliances. He
Yeah,
was
but that's- to me,
reconnecting the
that's
free
not the-
peoples of Middle
To
Earth.
me, that's not the point of Lord of the Rings. That may be to you because you're like, I've read the story, I know all the backstory, I know all the in-depth shit. To me, I'm like, what is the story of Lord of the Rings? Frodo taking the ring, Frodo and his friends taking the ring back to get rid of it. And all his trials and tribulations. that is what most people consider the story of Lord of the Rings. You don't have to agree with that, but that is what I would say.
I'm pretty sure
Not
one of
even
the movies we see more Aragorn than we do Frodo.
All of the movies.
That doesn't change the fact that if
yeah,
you
no,
went
true.
and asked most random people on the street whether it was about Aragorn or Frodo, who do you honestly think they'd come back and tell you it was about? Whose journey do you actually think they'd come back and tell you it was about?
I'd probably say, now there's some reasoning behind this, I'd probably say they'd most likely say Frodo, because he's the main one you see at the start.
Yes, we do start with
He
the
was on
adventure.
all the posters, it was him in the ring, it was everything was targeted at Frodo. So for most people, and this isn't like
In fact,
people
I would
I've
say
talked-
that there's 3 stories, because there's also
Yes.
Sauron's story.
There
but
is.
people that I've
And
talked
he
about
is the
it,
title character.
Yes.
it was Frodo. It was Frodo's story for most people. You talk to most people about Lord of the Rings, they're like, oh yeah, the Hobbit with the ring. They don't talk about the guy that went on the quest to reunite the world of men back together and became the king of the dead or whatever.
He didn't
Like,
become
it's-
the king of the dead, he became the king of men.
King of Men.
He
What?
had an army of dead ghosts, I don't know. Like,
No.
again,
It did.
he had an army of ghosts.
Oh yeah.
That to me,
Again,
is I'm
though,
like, yeah,
that's-
he did a thing, he went and
It-
found
it's
himself.
that's a liberation from the movie towards the books, where
Yeah.
in the movie, the Army of the Dead kill a bunch of orcs. In the books, they just scare away pirates.
But see,
And then he gets another army, and it's like, yo, I brought this other army
but
to
see
come and
again,
help.
Yeah, that's,
all of it,
Also, he also constantly travels around with more than just 2 other people. He has, like, the Grey Host.
again, to me,
Okay,
like, I'm
yeah,
also
yeah.
like, he went to do all that to help Frodo get the ring to Mordor. That's in my understanding of it, that's how it happened. Now, there may be a whole other reason that you know as to what happened, but to my understanding of the movie, it was Frodo's story, and everything else that was happening was all about helping Frodo.
It was all about helping Frodo, but the whole reason that it had to be Aragorn, and Aragorn had to do the steps that he had to do, is because he pretty much had
Yeah,
to
but I remember
reunite.
what Frodo did. I don't remember. I remember he went off at one point by himself, and then he had an army of the dead, and then he came back, and there were some elephants. Like, that's...
So you forgot the entire second movie,
yeah.
where he pretty much brings Rohan back into...
He found some other dudes. He was like, "Sup?" They high-fived. Like, I know this is not what happened, but
Super important, because, like, the whole thing is that
so overgeneralized.
since the death of
But,
Isildur, all the 3 peoples have, like, split up and are no longer working together, and
yeah,
that's
but
why
not
Sauron
to
could come
most
back.
people, not an
Yeah.
important part. No, because that's not explained.
Kind of is explained.
Not really. I have no memory of that being a thing. Like, I'm like, yeah, Sauron came back because shit got easier, whatever. He got power, he did stuff. He had his devil dudes riding around on horses, he's
No, he
cursed.
didn't.
I mean,
They
not horses,
didn't come
dragons.
back until after everything happened.
Yeah, but, like, this is what I'm saying. For most people, this other nonsense that you're talking about, there being other storylines.
Nonsense.
Yeah, there
Not
was...
nonsense. There's literally
No, I know it's
there is
not
literally a
nonsense.
whole point in the 3rd movie where he comes running in. He's like, Gondor calls for aid, and like the whole thing up until that point, and there's a whole big tension of scene.
There's a whole,
because
there's a whole
'cause
fucking
Theoden's
scene where
sitting
they're
there.
sitting on some ruins and they're fighting people, and it's just like dudes fighting at like some ruins or whatever. And I remember that like Gondor being a thing, but also just like it was kind of like, what does this have to do
And
with Frodo's
Theoden's because it's not just
But
Frodo's
that's
story.
the point. To most people,
No,
Lord
but that's
of the
because
Rings is
you
Frodo's
sat there in a
story.
movie and went, I don't get what this has to do with Frodo. And instead of looking at the movie and going, oh, this is part of the story that
Because
needs
it
to be
was-
told.
It was marketed as Frodo's story.
I don't think it was ever marketed as Frodo's story.
He was on all of the posters.
Yeah,
So was every other
Aragorn.
character.
Yeah, but he was the focal point.
No, the ring was generally the focal point.
Yeah, but it was him generally with the ring.
If you actually pay attention to it,
I'm pretty
the
sure
whole
there's one where
story.
it's just him.
Well,
with,
no,
like,
because the
holding
Return of the King is like
ring.
literally
It's like him,
Aragorn
and then the
holding
ring
the
is holding
sword
the ring up in front of him.
and wearing the crown.
But it's
Um,
like I don't know.
But the whole thing, and this is the truth about Frodo's story, what is Frodo's role in the whole Lord of the Rings? What is his role?
Just taking the
No,
ring.
he is a ring bearer. He's not even the ring bearer. He is a ring
Yeah,
bearer.
but he has to take the ring.
He
The
doesn't.
whole thing wouldn't happen without Frodo because he has the ring.
No, it's
And like this is what I'm saying. Your understanding of it, because of your vast knowledge about it all, is so different from my understanding. I'm like, nah, it was the story of Frodo, and you're like, nah, there was other storylines, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
no.
And you're like,
There are
it
two
happened.
main storylines.
There's literally one of the
I-
posters. Only Aragorn holding a sword.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that poster and being like, what the fuck is he on the thing?
Hold on. He's at the front. Aragorn's the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's him at the front. He's the focal point of that. Him in the ring.
Say this.
He doesn't have the ring in that picture.
He 100% has the ring.
No,
It's
he doesn't.
fake.
Like, that's him holding something. That's not.
It's him holding the vial of
It is, yeah.
vial of Galadriel.
Whatever,
this thing.
but like, I don't know. Most people would say it's.
See,
the story's
ideally,
about
I'd say that's a
Frodo.
split poster.
The story is
It's- There's so much nonsense going on.
there
but
there
the
are
story that
two
most people remember
storylines.
is
The
Frodo.
one about becoming who you were supposed to be and not shirking your responsibilities and becoming and becoming responsible, taking up your responsibility, and then the storyline of how even the smallest person can achieve great things. One of them is Frodo's, one of them is Aragorn's, and they are the two
Yes.
driving storylines.
Okay, now that you've said that, sure, but again,
Sure.
wasn't
Okay.
interested at all in what he was doing.
The Aragorn stuff's way more interesting.
Nah,
Kinda
the
is.
stuff with Frodo was like, it was, again,
Definitely by the end of it, I was getting bored of Frodo's stuff.
Frodo kind of starts acting like a whiny bitch.
Definitely does.
But there's a point, like, I don't know, just the people that I've ever spoken to about it, and again, we don't have in-depth conversations about Lord of the Rings. Those aren't most of my friends, apart from you.
It's true.
But-
I kind of have an issue here because
and he
I'm
was an
kind of
elf,
like,
and he was gorgeous.
I'm like, her whole thing would be like, it's the story of Frodo. It's like, he's one of two main things, but Aragorn's more main than him. Because think about it, the first one is the Fellowship of the Ring. That's all of them.
Yeah,
The second one is the Two
I'm
Towers.
not-
That's the bad guys.
I'm not arguing that
The
you're
last one
wrong.
is literally like, yo, it's Aragorn, he came back.
But I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right. Like, yes, now that I sit here and go, oh, I guess, you are correct.
Again, though, who is the main character of Lord of the Rings? Sauron.
Yeah.
Who is the real equal in Lord of the Rings? Gandalf.
No, we've been through this.
Narcissist.
Morgoth.
Narcissist.
No, but yeah, no, as I said, like my whole thing is that
Gaslights everyone. Just saying.
no, he's just
Gaslights
magical
them.
powered.
Gaslights them.
Anyway,
We've been through this.
yes, and you were wrong then, and you're
No,
wrong now.
No, he's a gaslighter.
Anyway,
Um,
guys,
but it's
this-
Frodo's story.
this went crazy. I can't remember what we started this out with.
Mustache.
There was definitely mustache talk, but but
We don't know.
there's a tangent. There were tangents, and I understand a lot of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, as you now know.
I don't. I love what he
And
deals with.
mostly, life is crazy. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for having a good Christmas, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.
So,
Bye.
Have a good Christmas, guys.